Hello, I'm back. This is probably my last video of the year. I haven't closed up shop yet, and I'll kind of talk about why in a little bit, but it is Ohio, and it's moving into winter, and it's getting colder, and tell you what, when I was out there today cleaning off rocks, it was pretty darn cold. You don't notice it as much until you put your hands in that in hose water, and it gets pretty cold pretty quick. So today what I want to talk about is, am I wrong in how I've been tumbling rocks for basically the last, 7 or 8 years? I have my own little way of doing things. I'm moving around because I'm grabbing a rock that I wanted to use as an example. Okay, I have my own way of doing things, and I've always been pretty clear about, if you don't do things the way I do things, if you're happy with what you're getting, then hey, you're doing it right. To each their own. I used to joke around a lot about there are no rock tumbling police going to come and take your equipment if you skip step one. You know, I don't know how that's going to work out for you, but hey, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. Now, where I would go kind of, I think, maybe a little above and beyond. Okay, the rock that I just went to get, let me see if I can get it to focus. Looks like it did. Okay, this is a piece of jasper. It has a very little spot right there. I don't know if it'll even show up in the camera. It looks like maybe it did. Okay, and a lot of people would tell me I am insane for running this back through step one again, because everything except that tiny little spot will come out shiny, come out nice and shiny. This will be a beautiful rock, and I'm going to throw it back in step one. And probably it's going to be 2 or 3 more weeks to get rid of that little hole in it. Might be easier if I had a lap wheel, but I don't. You could get rid of individual spots like that pretty easy with one of those, but I don't have one. Okay, so a lot of people would say I'm crazy to do that, and it could be I am wrong in doing it. What brought me to this conclusion? Well, if you see what I have right here, okay, this is Arizona petrified wood from Dobell's farm in Holbrook, Arizona. Now, before I go any further on that, the Dobells are wonderful, wonderful, wonderful people. I did a trip all around the country with my son, and that was one of the stops we made that I wanted to do, and I remember that trip a lot for just interacting with the Dobells. They were wonderful, wonderful people. My son was pretty young. When I got there, he had no interest in rocks, so while I'm picking up rocks, he was playing with their grandkids. And at one point, I look over and he's eating pizza with them, and I was about to yell at him. She goes, "Oh, no, he's fine. He's been having fun." So they fed my son while I was there. But anyway, I got a bunch of Arizona petrified wood, and she actually mailed it home for me. I paid the postage, she boxed it up and mailed it home for me. I'm putting that rock back in the barrel. And I got it at home, and I tumbled some of it, and this tote is full of the pieces that I have left. Okay, and most of them do this. Let's see if I can get it to focus. Most of it has pits in it, cracks in it, and I think part of it is when you have a rock with this many different colors in it and different stripes of those colors, they're not always the same hardness, and what will happen is the softer ones will wear away faster than the harder ones, and you end up with stuff like this. You get lines through the rock. These lines are probably accented by, that is probably my cerium oxide that I polished this with. Okay, and normally I won't tumble rocks like this. Okay, but take a look at what I got here. I mean, these are beautiful with or without the little problems. You can tell some of them, like this one, that's bark. That's where bark was. And to me, it's really cool. These are, I did just lay these here a few minutes ago, but they are basically dry, and they did shine up really nicely. And I would say every single one of them has a spot somewhere on it that isn't perfect. Okay, and maybe I've been very wrong in neglecting rocks like this. What actually happened was I got bored. I didn't have anything to put in my lotto, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to take some of that stuff and just give it a try and see what happens. And that's part of why I've always said, when you're doing tumbling, don't worry about what someone like me says. You know, this is how I do it. If you got an idea, give it a try and see what happens. If it works, great. If it doesn't, well, then you've learned a lesson. You know, I thought about, if you know, the ones like this one that have the white in them. If I got an ultrasonic cleaner, that might get that out of there. I tried a toothbrush and the toothbrush didn't work. And the other thing is, some of these, it actually might just be the color white in the rock, so it's kind of hard to tell. But that's kind of my thoughts on that. You know, feel free to comment, and if just on the thought that this may be my last video of the year, if you have any questions or ideas, put them in the comments. Maybe next year I'll do it. I've done stuff like I tumbled rocks in sand to see if it worked. Spoiler, it didn't. Not a real big spoiler. I didn't really expect it would. But this has been my latest experiment, where I tumbled rocks that I normally would not tumble, and I'll take the camera and do a close-up on them so you can see. Now, I'll start with the rough that I still have, so you can get a good look at what it looks like. This is all rock that has been through step 1. Okay, but I stopped after step 1. Okay. So that's what's going on. You see, like, I don't know if I can get close enough or far enough away. This is, it's all got stuff in it, but if you look closely at some of the rest of these, wow. And boy, did it shine up nice. And like I said, none of them are perfect, but they sure came out pretty nicely. And I have no complaints on these. I'm going to put the camera back and go to the second part of what I'm going to do. Okay, we're back at my rock tumbling area. I've got towels in the way and rocks and stuff like that, go figure. But you may notice one of my big blues is gone. I moved the 12-pound lure tone out, and I have purchased a Highland Park 12-pound tumbler to replace it. I suspect a lot of you people may know why I did this. If you watched Rob's video, Michigan Rocks that is, he reviewed Highland Park tumblers. Okay, I bought this thing before I was done watching the video. And I want to say this, a lot of people, if you've watched my channel a lot, you know I am a huge lure tone fanboy. And I truly hope, I believe it's Covington that bought them, I truly hope that they bring lure tone back just like it was. But I had been considering getting a new tumbler, and I was looking at Tumblers mainly because right now you can't get parts for a lure tone. I realized I had 4 3-pound barrels on my 3-pound lure tone, and 2 of the lids are shot. So I'm at the point now that if another lid goes, I can't get a gasket to fix it, and I'm done. That's it. I can't run that. Well, I can't. I could run one barrel, but what's the point of having a 2-barrel tumbler if you're only going to run one? So right now you can't get, well, at least I don't know where to get parts. You throw in what Rob talks about, and I'm not going to do a review of this because Rob did it, and Rob did it better than I would do it, but it is a direct drive tumbler. It runs on a DC motor, so it takes, according to him, about 1/3 of the electricity, which, according to him, where he lives, the 12-pound lure tone, which is what he compared it to, uses about $6 a month in electricity. This will use less than $2, like $1.80, I think he said. I can't swear exactly what they were, but it was about that much difference. So it uses less electricity, it doesn't get as hot, and I can get parts for it. And from what I've seen, it is a quality machine, which is what I always liked about the lure tones. My intent right now is not to run 2 12-pounds in a double 3. I'm putting the Lortone into retirement. I actually may sell it. It functions perfectly at this point. If I do, I'm going to keep the barrel because I could still use the barrel on that if I wanted to. But that's about that. Last thing I wanted to point out, a friend of mine, I'm going to stop this and I'll be right back because I got to get something. Okay, so a friend of mine asked me to do him a favor. He had a rock. It's a piece of flint from Zanesville, Ohio, and he wanted it rounded. And he asked me about it. I told him, well, I can absolutely do that for you. So here is the rock. Okay, let me make sure it's focusing. He doesn't want it shiny. He just wants it rounded, which is what I'm doing. And there's one spot right here that is kind of, it's rounded, but it's not really sharp, but it's rough. Okay, so for me, if I were going to continue, like I said earlier, if I were going to continue in polishing this, I would go a lot further in terms of step one. Okay, but I'm not sure exactly what he plans to do with it. He doesn't want it shiny, he just wants it rounded. And he didn't tell me exactly what his plan is, but this guy, his name is Rick. He is the kind of guy that when he has an idea and wants to do something, if he involves you, you absolutely want to be involved. Because even if the idea doesn't pan out, it's going to be a lot of fun. So I can't wait to find out what he's got in mind for this. So if Rick, if you see this, happy Thanksgiving. Today is Thanksgiving. I'm putting it in for another week. It's pretty rounded though, and if you're ready for it, just let me know. All right, so that pretty much concludes today. I don't think anybody really feels like they need to watch me turn on the tumblers, but I am going to do that here in a few minutes. Have a happy Thanksgiving, and if you watch this after today, well, I hope you had a happy Thanksgiving. Take care. Okay, I guess we could include our first startup. So the inaugural tumble of the new Highland Park 12-pound tumbler has begun. Have a good one.